Welcome to today's GIS report. I am Information Officer Nikita Turnbull. Today we will be speaking with the newly appointed Caribbean Examination Council's Registrar and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Wayne Wesley. Now, Dr. Wesley is here in the territory to meet with educators, students, parents, and guardians to discuss concerns and plans, as well as meet with government officials. Stay tuned to learn more about his visit and the CXC. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Wesley. So first of all, tell us about the CXC. What is your organization about?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure being here in the BVI. It's my first trip, actually, to the British Virgin Islands, and so far it has been pleasant. I'm happy with the reception we have received since we have been here. And our purpose here for this particular visit is to ensure that the product of CXC is well understood by all, but most importantly to ascertain from critical stakeholders what is it that CXC need to be doing in order to advance the region's human resource. The Caribbean Examination Council is principally an assessment body, but we are now looking at transforming the operations and the focus of CXC to become more than just an assessment body. We are looking at playing a very pivotal role within the CARICOM space, facilitating regional integration and in particular the development of the human resources. You know that for any region to advance, it is important that our human capital is really positioned to take advantage of all the economic opportunities that will avail itself to the region. In fact, if it is that we are going to be competitive, our human resource is a critical factor in determining the level of competitiveness that we will offer. And so CXC is now geared towards reprojecting itself, not just an assessment body, but a body that facilitates regional transformation. So we'll be looking at the transformation of the entire education landscape in terms of teaching, learning, and assessment, using digital transformation in whatever way possible to facilitate that, as well as beginning to influence in a more positive way and a deliberate way policy decisions within the education sector that will seek to drive and give direction towards teaching, learning, and assessment.
So now we know that it is a big deal here for the CEO of the CXC to be here, but tell us a bit about your role in the organization.
Well, the role is actually Registrar and CEO of the Examination Council. As the Registrar, I am responsible for the strategic direction of the organization, ensuring that we're fulfilling our mandate to provide the region with the requisite products that will guarantee the development of the human resources. So everything to do with examination development, starting from syllabus all the way to the delivery of the results, the final results, which in August tend to be a very busy time for the results being made available to our critical stakeholders. So my primary role is to ensure that all the requisite systems are in place to ensure that the region continue to enjoy the level of professional assessment and examinations providing that to our stakeholders to ensure that they can compete anywhere in the world. In fact, I'm trying now to put the tagline forward that CXC is a regionally and internationally recognized brand that will advance any individual having received our certification.
So on your agenda this week, you're meeting different students and parents at different levels in the secondary schools. What can parents and students expect to speak about during those meetings?
All right, so let me put this in a bit of context and then move to your question. As the new registrar and CEO for CXC, one of my responsibility right now is to develop a new strategic plan for the organization going forward. And before I enter into that detailed activity, this particular engagement is for us to get feedback from our critical stakeholders, for them to inform the Caribbean Examination Council as to what is it that we should be doing that would help to advance their particular objective. We are looking at charting a new course, but before we can chart that new course, we need to get input from those critical stakeholders to say to us, what is it that we were doing that is not up to scratch? What is it that we have been doing which was up to scratch? And what is it that we ought to be doing new in order to create the level of excitement and engagement of our young people? One of the critical issues we have been looking at over the years is the number of persons taking our certification, but though the number of persons who are actually not acquiring the number of subjects that they should actually acquire. And how is it that we can create an environment that will allow for the greater mass of our people, if not all, to be certified and competent? So our particular engagement activity now with stakeholders is for them to give us critical feedback and information that will now inform the development of our 2021-2025 strategic plan going forward. And it is important that we do that, because if I'm going to do anything that will help to advance the region, then I must know what is it that the region would want. So I expect that when teachers and students and parents would come, they will ask and provide information that will help to advance that cause. Talk about the products that CXC offer, the modality. I know that our e-testing would have been of concern to many persons. We can have some dialogue on that as to how we're moving forward to ensure that collectively as a region we advance. And CXC is not coming to be a dictatorship. What we have been articulating ever since I have taken the position is that CXC is an enterprise, and an enterprise is not an organization in and of itself. That enterprise is made up of critical stakeholders, the ministries of education, the schools, the principals, the teachers, the students. All of us are critical component of this enterprise. And as an enterprise, we all to have a collective understanding as to the value that we want to give to the region, what regional good is it that we want to provide. And so for persons to buy into that and understand that CXC in and of itself can't do it. And so the input of others, very important. And so this particular engagement is to facilitate that input.
Now, in the beginning, you spoke about the council's transformation, and that you're also coming here to seek different ideas for that strategy. However, has the council already seen a strategy for your 5-year plan? Like, what thoughts?
Well, we are in the process of developing that strategy. So what I can perhaps indicate to you are some critical components that will sort of characterize that strategy. For one, I talk about transformation, the digital transformation as to how teaching and learning would be effected within the region. We are looking at ensuring that the use of artificial intelligence, the use of critical data analysis, performance analysis, that will help to advance the region. Right now, we have a lot of data, but what are we using that data to do? How will we begin to use that data to help inform certain policy decisions going forward? And so we have started looking at the creation of a research unit that will help to advance. Earlier I spoke about the policy, giving policy guidance and direction to the various ministries across the region. That will be informed by research. We won't just get up and say, well, this is what we want. And so that research will create a partnership with ourselves and the universities within the region and other research bodies that will help to research those things that will help to advance teaching and learning, new assessment methods. Is it the classroom that we are using now? Is it the best? I mean, have we outgrown that? I mean, I've seen persons spoke about the classroom being of the 16th century methodology still, and we are now in the 21st century. How can we be using the same methodologies to deliver information? So one of the transformation we are looking at is using artificial intelligence within the classroom. And whether or not the classroom will have to be the same four walls in a room. All right, so we're going to be really advancing what happens in education. And so digital transformation of the classroom, research informing policy, as well as creating a set of credentials that are digitized. You're going to hear we talk about some digital wallets now, where persons can actually move around with their credentials electronically and on a secure platform too that can be validated and verify that this is authentic. Because within this area, a lot of people tend to want to present false certification. But we are looking at varying ways. Right now, with our e-testing platform, what we are looking at is creating more what we call technology enhanced items. So the thing will be, the assessment itself or the examination will be a bit more interactive. So it's not like students just look at a multiple choice paper on the multiple choice question, yes, and you answer these questions. You're actually perhaps looking at a simulation and ask, what activity are you observing right here? We could look at the anatomy of the body and allow persons to label that easily using drag and pull and drop rather than now trying to draw and label and all of that. Using technology to enhance assessment as well is going to be critical. So there's a plethora of activities that we are undertaking now to ensure that assessment is not seen in the same light. In fact, it's going to be, once we get to where we want to be, it's going to be an on-demand kind of testing situation. You can walk to CXC and say, well, listen to me, I need to do my assessment now because I'm wanting to get a scholarship and this particular exam is holding me back, but if I get a chance to do it prior, we can do that. So we are in the process now of building a large item bank of questions so that we can generate multiple versions of a similar test, testing at the same level without creating any disturbance. So a lot of things we are doing, but we still want to hear from our stakeholders before we put all the finishing and plans together going forward.
Now that's all exciting, but I know there are still students who are still contemplating whether or not the CXC having that certificate is beneficial to their future. What would you say to those students who still have that doubt in mind?
Well, first of all, I want to assure them that the qualification given by CXC is both regionally and internationally recognized. When I talk about international recognition, I'm not just talking the States. I'm talking about Europe. I'm talking about Latin America, the Caribbean. All our qualifications are recognized. They are international credentialing bodies who have been recognizing our certification. As a matter of fact, anybody leaving the region to go anywhere else to study, the first set of qualification that they will ask you for is your Caribbean examination qualification, either CSEC or your CAPE equivalent. Some persons are doing our associate degree. That qualification is also recognized. So all the credentialing assessment bodies internationally are aware of our product. So anywhere you go, one of the first things they're likely to ask you for is your Caribbean examination certification and qualification. It is recognized, it is a preferred qualification in the region, and internationally it is recognized and seen as equivalent as to the others that you usually do, those Cambridge O-levels or CAPE or ordinary O-levels or A-levels actually by Cambridge. We are in that space.
Okay, so lastly, for those who are thinking about taking the CXCs, how do you become eligible to sit the exams?
Eligibility primarily right now is through the various school programs. It's a secondary examination, the Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate. So once you're enrolled in high school, you're pretty much being prepared to take the CSEC exam, and once you move up to your upper level form, like your sixth form, is when you're capable, when you are now able to take our CAPE exam, that's our Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination. Others who are not in school, there's also the opportunity for you to register as private candidates to do these exams. What you find across the region, if not all, ministries and government do pay for their high school students to take this exam. So it's the exam of choice right across the region. But if you are not within school, then you also have the opportunity to register as a private candidate. We tend to work with our local registrars to facilitate this, or they can register directly with the Caribbean Examination Council, but that is always through a proxy locally, because we would have to have an account as to where you're going to do that exam and the center as a part of our quality control mechanism. So once you're in high school and you're being prepared privately, you can access our exams. In fact, when we are online, there might be less need for you to interact with anyone else, but you can just interact with us or a proxy for the delivery of that examination. We are looking at making the examination available to the diaspora right across the world, because you might have strong Caribbean communities abroad, and they want their children to be taking our exams. We are looking at making that available, and with our online assessment trust right now, that is certainly possible.
All exciting stuff. Any few last words?
Well, just to say that at the Caribbean Examination Council, we are happy and delighted to be facilitating the regional development of human resources going forward. We see ourselves as having an opportunity to ensure that the young people across the region would receive certification that is internationally recognized, and certification that will advance their own personal career choices, whether in medicine, technical education, journalism, whatever field that they want to pursue. We are saying that the qualification that we provide will give them that opportunity. It is important that all persons leaving school should leave with some internationally recognized certification, and CXC is standing ready to provide that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wesley, for joining us and giving us all that great information.
It's my pleasure.
For more information about the scheduled meetings with the CEO of CXC, Dr. Wayne Wesley, visit the government's website at bvi.gov.vg or call the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture at 468-4949. That is all for today. I'm Information Officer Nikita Turnbull. Thanks for tuning in.